If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and another cutting video. Today I'm happy to cut along with you the Hills Handmade Pawling Handbag. I am so excited to do this bag. It is such a classy looking bag. I do not have an example of that bag as I have not made it yet, and at the time of finishing this video I will have already posted it onto YouTube for my membership side of the channel, as we are doing this as our April 2023 sew along class. So I want them to be able to see the cutting video beforehand, so I post it right away for them before classes. So I do not have an example of that, but if you're watching this on the public side, please do check for the Meet the Bags video, which I will have posted already, going through this bag I've already made and the class bag that will have been made at the time you're watching this. You can also go ahead to the designer's website. I will have that link down below in the description, as well as my Meet the Bags video. I will have that down below in the description too if you want to see a beforehand picture of it. Yeah, and there are so many great tester videos there to give you a lot of inspiration for when you go to make your Pawling handbag. Anyways, thank you, Hillary, for allowing me to make this tutorial. And how about we go down to table view and I will show you the materials we will be cutting out today. Okay, so my exterior for this bag, I'm using this beautiful peach Croc print metallic vinyl from Galaxy Customs. This is part of her Wild Thing collection. I thought this would be super nice for this bag. I will be doing some fussy cutting just to try to get nice even panels for the Croc print, and I think that is doable. For my accent vinyl, I am using this one here, and it is the rose gold metallics line from Galaxy Customs. I think these just really accent each other so incredibly well. Now when it comes to cutting the handles, I will be doing them different than in the pattern because I really want to have a dual side handle that will be, this will be the front side and this will be the back side. So definitely follow along in the pattern when it comes to doing the tutorial and to cutting it out, how to cut out for those rolled handles, because I will not be cutting for rolled handles. I'm going to be changing that up just slightly. Now for the lining, she does recommend using a waterproof canvas. So I had this white waterproof canvas in my stash. I think it matches enough that it'll be a contrast to this. So this will be my lining fabric. I very, very rarely use waterproof canvas, but this being my first time making this pattern, I'm going to go with what her specifications and suggestions for this one. Now my waterproof canvas I do buy from Fabricville online. This is my utmost favorite waterproof canvas. It has a really, I don't know, it's thicker and it's just really nice to sew with. For thread, I'm going to be using this rose gold colored thread. I think it's going to really complement this well. This is Almond Tech 70 Strong Bond color 44430834, as well as I'm going to be using rose gold hardware from Emmaline bags. So let me get this all cleaned up and then we're going to get to cutting this baby out. All right, so we're going to get started. We're going to start cutting with our main exterior, which is my rose gold Croc. Now, if you've come along with me before, you know that I love to use my cut list and I love to use my Area Racing Sew Line pen. So as I go through, I cross things out as I go, and then when it comes to doing this pattern again, those lines are gone without you having to go through and erase it or what have you. They just disappear because it's an Area Racing pen. So you'll see me marking them off as we go along. So we're going to start with pattern piece A. And this is the hard one because we need to fussy cut this. So I am going to show you how I do that. Now I like to draw on the opposite side of my vinyl and then cut everything out at once. But when I'm fussy cutting, I like to see this side. So what I am going to do is I'm going to kind of just, I can see a center line right here in my Croc print. I'm just going to make sure that this will fit there, and it will. So I'm going to line this up where I want it to be along this bottom. And then I'm going to take my snips and right at this center fold line, I'm just going to put a little teeny tiny snip there. So when I flip this over, I know what I'm working with. So there's my snip. That's my center. Of course, now I'm going to be working the opposite direction, so, but that's okay. All right, so there's my snip there. So I'm going to just line this up nice and straight along that bottom, and then we're going to start drawing this out. So where my centers for the fold are, because it's hard to fold vinyl and get a nice and even, when you fold vinyl, it's thick, and you normally get a little bit bigger of a piece than you need. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw this out. This is my first half. So yeah, I put little lines at that fold line, and then when I go to flip my pattern piece over, I will be able to line that up to draw the second half. So that's one half of it. I'm going to flip my pattern piece over this way. I'm going to line up those little halfway marks there, and then draw the other half. Now with this one, I have to draw a second piece. So what I'm going to do on this back side, because I've already got my center somewhat marked in my pattern, so I'm just going to draw up and mark where that center line is, like so. And then I know that is where I am going to start drawing this one. So I should have a pretty, I'm going to just make sure this is nice and straight with the bottom. And it is. So this should give us 2 fussy cut pieces. Now, of course, if you're doing a solid color, you do not need to fussy cut this at all, but I like to make my life tough. So it's one half, flip it over, and I'm going to draw the other half. Oopsies. And of course I shifted a little bit. Let me redraw that. The reason I like to draw on the back is because for those reasons, if I had shifted like that while I was just cutting it, my piece would be not what it needs to be. And it also makes it so you can, if not all your pieces fit on there, you can go back and draw them on and make it so you get the most of all of your vinyl. Okay, so I'm going to write A and A. Set that pattern piece aside for now. Coco says hi to everybody, and I'm going to cross that off. Okay, so pattern piece B. Let me see which one that is. Pattern piece B. That is an accent, so we're going to skip over that one for now. And we are going to go right to pattern piece C. So that is our connector here. Now, you're going to see my pattern piece is going to look a little bit different, mainly because I only have 1-inch hardware. So I'm going to just make this a little bit bigger. So on the outskirts of the original pattern piece, all I did was added an 1/8 of an inch to each side to make this a 1-inch connector piece, so my hardware will fit. If you're using 3/4 inch, leave it as is. Coco's going to be barking for a moment because the garbage man is out there, so please do, this is live, so please do excuse the noise in the background. So I am going to be doing a raw edge connector. Oh my goodness, cocoa beans. But I'm going to be doing 2 colors. So on my back side where nobody is going to see it, I'm actually going to be using that rose gold color and then edge painting, but you will see that as we get through the tutorial when you watch it after doing this. So when I'm cutting these out, they are slightly different. Rather than using a deckable light behind these, I am going to be using 2 layers of vinyl, which just makes it almost the same thing. It makes it super strong. So with edge paint. So I will be doing the connectors the same yet different. There's also an option in the pattern where you can fold them under, especially if you're using a fraying fabric. You can only do this method if you are using a non-fraying fabric. So if you're using a fraying fabric or you don't want to be doing the edge or have raw edge, definitely following the pattern on how to cut those. All right, so I need to cut out or I need to draw out 4 of these. So I'm going to just kind of, oh, I guess I almost want to, do I want to fussy cut these ones? Let's see. I think as long as they're somewhat the same. Let me find, yeah, that should be fine. So I'm going to put them right there, and I'm going to follow all the way up so they're nice and even. We'll put it right up against here. Just so I'm still going with the same grain, and I'll just work my way up. Again, if you aren't fussy cutting, you can definitely just cut wherever, but I want these ones aren't going to be exact, but they're going to be great. At least they'll be somewhat symmetrical. So I'm going to draw out all 4. And then I'm just going to move it up, drop the next one, and hopefully they're somewhat following the same line on my Croc print. If you followed my videos, you know exactly how I'm going to be doing these, because I do my raw edge connectors the same on every bag that I do. 3. And 4. Okay, so we have those. I can put that pattern piece aside for now and mark off that we have done those ones. So again, I won't be using the Deckable Light because I am going to use 2 layers of a vinyl instead. All right, what do we have next? Pattern piece D is the accent piece. Pattern piece E2 exterior. Let me grab that one, which is this one. So these are the side panels. So again, this I want to be somewhat fussy cutted. So I'm going to where my print is again here, my repeating print, and I'm just going to, I can see a center line there. I'm just going to do a slight little snip there so I know where to place my pattern piece. Okay. One thing about fussy cutting is it does feel like it wastes a little bit of fabric, but it just looks so nice when things are uniform. I'm going to take my pattern piece, I'm going to fold it in half so I can see that center. Then I'm going to match it like so and draw it out. For those that are watching this that are taking my class, my class bag will not be a fussy cut bag. So if you are fussy cutting, make sure you watch this so you understand or know how to fussy cut it if you already do not know. Okay, so that's one, and again I'm going to follow that center line up, just kind of following up the same print as it moves up this way. I'm going to make a mark there so I can match up that center fold. I went up a little too high. It doesn't have to go that high, Brandy. Uh-oh, I'm talking to myself in the third person. This can't be a good thing. Okay. So I'm going to line that up with that center line, that fold, and draw the next one, and then they should be somewhat symmetrical. Also, when drawing on the back, make sure you check the front that the pen doesn't show through your vinyl. This is a thick vinyl, so it doesn't. I just use a regular pen. This is a Paper Mate. I like the multiple colors. It takes me back to the 80s and when I was in school. So, okay, so that's pattern piece E and E for the exterior. That pattern piece aside. Pattern piece E, we've cut 2 of the exterior. We haven't done the lining. Pattern piece F. which one is that? Okay, so this is for that inside flap. I'm trying to think of how it's going to go this way. So again, it's a little bit of fussy cutting, but in between these two prints is where I think I'm going to go. So I'm just going to clip that center there, because this is going to be on the inside of the bag, kind of folding over. So I kind of want to make sure that everything is going the direction I need it to go. And fold this piece in half, with it being appealing to the eye and nice and symmetrical for the print. I'm going to match that up with my little snip there. Moment of truth is really when we go to cut this out for my fussy cutting, and we'll see how well we did. Now you could do this with a different color if you wanted to. I'm just kind of keeping it going the same. So it's one exterior for pattern piece F. Knock that off. Pattern piece F. Pattern piece H is an accent. So these are all the accent colors here. We will cut them later. Okay. Now 10 1/4 by 1 1/2. So I think I have to figure out. So I'm going to just go off camera for a minute. There's a bunch of drawn or measurements here. I cannot share measurements with anybody. So I'm going to figure out what color I'm drawing. I'm going to draw those ones out, and then I'll explain to you once I have them drawn out what those pieces are for. Okay, so please hold. I'll be right back. All right, so the measurement I couldn't give was for the base piece. So go ahead and on your main exterior, measure out your base piece and draw it on as per the pattern. Now all I have to do in this color are my handles and my crossbody. So I'm going to be doing, am I going to do my crossbody? Yes. Maybe. Yes. I'm going to be doing my crossbody and my handle pieces double-sided. So this is different than the pattern. So what I'm going to do is grab my large ruler, and I will be, for my handles, I like to do my shorter handles to about 18 inches. So I'm going to do 18 inches, and I'm doing 4 by 18. Again, I'm using a 1-inch hardware, and then I'm going to cut this in half because I'm doing double-sided, so they need to be 2 inches by whatever width you like. And I'm going to do my dotted center lines now for when I go make it, so they are already done and ready to go when I start to sew this together. So that's my handle. And I think on the lining side of my bag, I was going to do this as my accent fabric. So this is where you have your lining, and then this will be along the top. But I think I'm going to continue with this Croc print along the top. So again, I'm going to want to make it somewhat centered. Again, making my life hard. So I can see here on this side, which center do I want to use? I think I can get away with using this print center, so I'm going to just snip where the center of my thing is there. Again, I can see about the center of my print where I want to line that up. Find that snip, and I'm just going to measure up what that center line is. And again, you don't have to make it this hard. This is just what I do. Do I have enough? I do not have enough there. So we will go with this repeat right here. Right there. That'll look nice too. I was originally going to use the rose gold for this, but I'm not sure I have enough because I want to do double-sided crossbody strap as well with this. So all in the planning of the bag. Everybody's bags always look different. You just make it as per your vision, and all is good. Okay, so that'll be enough. So I got that along that fold at that center. Flip it over, match up those little lines. Like so. And to draw out the other one to make sure it is nice and symmetrical as well. I'm going to line up for that center, so I'm following that print. Hopefully, again, the moment of truth will be when we go to cut this out. Again, this is just my process of cutting things out. Everybody may do this different. This is just how Brandy does it. All the way around. Okay, so that is piece H for the lining top. Put that aside, and then all we have left to do is to draw out our crossbody strap. So I'm going to just flip this over. Now I always do my crossbody straps for the full width of the fabric this way. So again, this is going to be double-sided, so I only have to draw out 2 inches, as the underside is going to be the rose gold fabric. And I always mark my center line as I go. Just save some time later on. I'm here marking already. I may as well just mark it. Actually, we have 2 side connectors as well we have to do in this. Usually I would have started with drawing this out first, but because of the fussy cutting, I figured it's best to do that fussy cut first before anything else. Okay, so that's the crossbody strap. And again, I'm using 1-inch hardware, so that's why I did 2 inches, and then these will be folded in and then on the back. I do have a tutorial on how to do double-sided straps as well, so if you guys need that, go right ahead. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw out my connector pieces. I'm actually just going to use my own measurements for the connector pieces because I tend to do them all the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and in this little section here, I always cut my connector pieces quite big because they can be trimmed up later. So I'm going to cut 2 connector pieces for my 1-inch hardware at 2 inches by 4 inches, again marking that center line. The measurements in the pattern are different as they're for 3/4 inch, so make sure if you're using 3/4 inch that's what you follow and you don't follow me. I just don't have 3/4 inch hardware. I just mainly stock 1 inch. So the connector, and now we get to cut this out. So I just go ahead with my rotary cutter and start cutting. And again, I wasted a little more vinyl than I typically would with this one, but when you're fussy cutting, it's kind of what happens. Otherwise, I would have been using up all of this empty space with all these pieces, but because I want everything to kind of line up good, it is what it is. The only thing I wasn't really picky about was my base piece here. Maybe I should have been. I didn't think about it. All right, so I'm going to put this into the done pile. Anything that needs a lining piece, I put into a different pile for having to cut out the lining pieces to match. So here's my 2 crossbody connector pieces, and they look pretty good. So those are going to go in my already don't need to do anything else with them pile. Now these ones will need lining pieces still cut. It's also nice when you draw it out the way I do, you have your centers already marked. I always do little snips at the same time, but let you know if you are on track. And as you can see, this bag has a lot of curves. It's going to be really fun to sew up. Okay, so let's see how I did with my fussy cutting. They look pretty good to me. I think the fussy cutting looks pretty good. So what I like to do is just take the matching corresponding pattern piece and clip it on. So this one will have to go, oh no, this one is already done. I don't need a lining piece for this, so this can go into the pile of not having to cut any more pieces for this pattern piece. Okay. These ones. One. We aren't quite done with these. You'll see what we do when we get to these solid colors for this. Actually, I've got enough scrap here. Maybe I will use these for the backing. We will cut one more piece for this. Just because I don't have as much of the rose gold solid, so I want to make sure, and the underside doesn't get seen. I'll show you what I mean. One, two, oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I thought I lost one. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's do this quickly. So as I was saying, I want to cut a piece that is big enough to be the underside of these for when we go to sew them together. So I'm actually going to 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we get into the tutorial, this will make more sense. So I want to cut a rectangle that fits all 4 of those. For when we prep them my way. And this is a way of doing it so you don't have to use the deckable heavy if you don't want to. So I'm just going to write on the back is con back, connector back. And let's cut out that piece while it's there. Again, this part isn't in the tutorial. This is just a Brandy way of doing connectors. My preferred way. And I get to play with my edge paints, which always makes me happy. So these can all go together, and these can go in the no longer, don't need to cut anything else out for those ones pile. Handles. not too many pieces to cut for this so far. It's not too bad. How my handle's going to do. They're going to be pretty good too. They all got that center part, which is good. They match up somewhat. Why does this one look smaller than this one? Because I cut this one too big. I made a mistake. I cut it to 2 1/4 instead of a 2, so we will fix that. Whoops. I measured wrong. I make mistakes all the time, trust me. So I usually buy 2 rolls of each vinyl I'm using to warrant for mistakes. This one I'm a little nervous because these are leftovers from buying 2 rolls. And if I make a mistake, I'm just plumb out of luck. Okay, that's better. So we will be cutting more straps to go with these. Same with the crossbody. So they are going in the need to cut more pieces pile. Okay. And you can see we don't have that. We're not going to have that much left of this fabric, so that's good. This one. Ooh, look how good that fussy cutting turned out. That's pretty. Sometimes, especially with Croc print, I always find I sometimes get a little off center, so this one's looking pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself right about now. Now, I made a Baronia from Blue Calla in these exact same fabrics and it sold right away, so I'm hoping that this one will too. So again, this is the lining top. This doesn't need anything else cut with this pattern piece, so I can put it in the finished cutting pile. We are almost done. I am wondering if I should center my base more, because I didn't take into account my base having a center, so I think I'm going to recut it or redraw it. And that's another reason why it's good to draw and cut after. So I'm going to find that center line here. I think it's right about there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to redraw that. I can't show you what I'm drawing because I can't share measurements, so I will be right back. Okay, so you can see I redrew it. That's another wonderful reason why I like to draw on the back. So if you make a mistake, you haven't cut into anything. Nothing is permanent. So let's finish cutting out these. Okay, and that is going to be my scrap. So that will go in my scrap bin because I save everything. So again, cut your base out as per the pattern pieces measurements. So my base piece, I wasn't super centered on it, but that's okay. It'll do. See, I have to have at least one piece, so that doesn't quite line up, but it's all good. All right, so we're going to need a lining piece for that, so I need to put that in the to be cut more pieces pile. My flat piece. This is going to need a lining cut as well. See, my flat piece was fussy cut pretty good, so it looks like it's only my base that didn't turn out as centered as I wanted it to, but that's okay. And then my 2 side pieces. one. That turned out pretty good. Okay, so those are all of my main fabrics all cut out. And what I'll do is I'll start on my rose gold ones. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw out the ones that are measurement, and then I'll explain to you when I come back what those pieces are. All right, so I will be back shortly. Okay, so this is what I drew out. I drew out that other half of my crossbody strap for the double-sided strap and my handles. Again, those aren't in the pattern. I'm doing different handles than the pattern. I have gone by the measurements. Again, follow the measurements in the pattern. I couldn't give these measurements out. That's why I just drew them out. But you need 2 main bottom accent pieces, which are these 2, and then 2 side accent pieces. Now, these pieces are really cool because they almost give it like a faux piping look. So yeah, it's super cool. All right, so now as you can see how I'm cutting this super close, I've already marked off everything on here for that. So now we need to do pattern piece B. Where did that little guy go? I have a little teeny tiny one. All right, so that is this bottom connector piece where there's going to be like 2 layers of our piece here. So just like our other connector pieces, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So this is the way I'm doing it. It is going to get a little bit thick, but it's going to make it so I don't have to use deckable heavy. I am on an industrial machine. I'm pretty sure a heavy duty machine, or depending on what fabrics you have chosen, you will be able to do this on a domestic as well. But yeah, rather than doing deckable light backing these pieces, I'm going to do 2 layers of vinyl, and you will see how that goes in the video. So this is kind of, if you look at the pictures or have looked at the Meet the Bags, it's a really pretty accent underneath our top connector. So we are going to draw out 4 of those. I am actually going to use some of this wasted space up here, where did my pen go, and draw out 4 of those. One. 2, 3, oops, missed a whole side, and 4, oh my gosh, I did it again. And then of course a square that's going to fit all 4 of those. Now you don't have to do these ones 2 layers. I'm going to be doing them 2 layers just because it gives me a really nice edge to work with when I'm edge painting. So 1, 2, 3, that'll be a good piece right there. So again, this is a Brandy way of doing things. You can definitely follow the pattern. Bottom connector piece. Okay, so that is done. I can cross that off of my list. Okay, next is my, what is this piece? Piece D, top side panel. We need 2 of these. And I can see here, I can use more of this up. So I'm trying to use up, you can see how I'm wasting like no vinyl here. So that is my ultimate goal and why I like to draw on the backs. That's 1 and 2. Okay, so that is piece D. And then I think we just have one more, and then my little added touches that I like to do for all of my linings. So pattern piece D, and then, oh, this one's just for the lining. Exterior side pocket lining. I'm just double checking that I've got everything. I think I do. I did pretty good. Look at that. So now what I'm going to do, because I like to, you know, I do my linings about the same way. Actually, do you know what? I think I'm going to switch it up a bit. So, because I have so much left over, this flap piece calls for your lining fabric on the opposite side, but I think I'm going to keep it all vinyl, and I'm going to do this solid as the opposite side. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to draw out this. So just the vision I have, I think I want to have this as all, my flap is all vinyl. So I'm going to add that in rather than doing a lining piece for it. Or you could just follow the pattern and do a lining piece for it. Got something under there. So as I'm cutting things out, I change things up with how I want my color placements, but that's okay. This is flat. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw out my regular pieces I like to do for my linings. So I will put in a slip pocket and a zipper pocket. It'll be different than the linings she does in the pattern for those accents, because I always do my linings the exact same way. My clients expect them that way, so that's the way I do them. So I always switch it up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw out my vinyl slip pocket accent as well as my zipper pocket accent on here, but that is not part of the pattern. I have tutorials on how I do that, so if you decide to do that, definitely check out those tutorials down below. I'm going to go do that. Actually, no, first let's cut this out. We can cut this out together. Let's cut her out. I'm getting ahead of myself. And then we just have the lining pieces to go, and it should be nice and fast. As you can see with these cutting videos, I do not edit anything out. You get all my mistakes. You get everything that I may say all fumbled in my words. You will get my thought process as I'm cutting things out and as I'm changing my mind. So I really hope that you guys find that beneficial and don't mind me doing that at all. So. Okay. So there's my front and my back for my crossbody. That's done. Putting them together. Let's cut my flap. And you can definitely see the minimal waste out of this roll of vinyl. Fussy cutting is a little bit of a different story. That's the lining side of my flap. I think that's going to look really nice. Just cut this here. And I'm a rotary cutter girl, as you guys can see. It's a lot easier than scissors on my carpal tunnel, I find. Just got to make sure you don't cut off your fingers. Been there, done that. So that's the bottom piece of my connector, so I'm going to set that aside for now. The underside of my handles for my dual color handles, so we'll stick those together. Main bottom accent panels. Clip them together. together. And I love ruler measurement pieces. I find them so much easier to draw out than, say, a pattern piece of a straight line. So I'm all about that. It's my 2 side accents. Sometimes when you do those corners, you don't want to go all the way to the corner because you don't want to split it. So you go almost to the corner and then go back in with scissors. Okay. Okay, those are pattern piece D's. Where'd that piece go? It's over here. All right, then we have these lovely things. Two. Oh. One, two, three, four. I'm gonna go with this piece. And that is that. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to just cut out my pocket accent pieces that I like to do in all my bags, and then we'll come back and we will cut out the lining. All right, so I changed my mind again. This always happens. So I just found this scrap in my scrap bin, and seriously, it just matches so perfectly. So I'm going to go with this fabric instead of that white waterproof canvas. Now, to give this more of a canvas feel, I am going to back it with EP Fuse Heavy, which is a medium woven interfacing similar to 809, Pawling 809. It just kind of gives, I find that when I use EP Fuse Medium on my cotton pieces, it just makes them feel more like a canvas. It just gives them a little bit more oomph. You can also just back it with EP Fuse Lite or SF101 if you're doing the linings. So again, I know in the intro, again, this is all live and I don't want to go back and tape all that because I've already cut everything out. So I am switching to this cotton fabric. This is a Riley Blake Designs pattern, and it is called Shabby. And again, anytime you can use up any of your scraps in your bin, we're going to do it. And I kind of walked by, it caught my eye, and I'm like, yeah, it matches this perfectly. So, and I think I have enough, so we're going with it. All right. So the first thing I want to do is go down our list. So I'm going to look for my lining, my side panel, or my, where are we? Lining bottom pieces. And you are going to cut 2 of those as per the measurements. I'm going to do it on camera, but I'm going to kind of hide my numbers. So the way I like to cut these is I like to fold my fabric upon itself, like so. So I'm working with 2 layers, and then I just go in and I cut as per the pattern pieces. So I'm going to cut it a little bit bigger than what it says right now. So I'm only working with, and I will trim it off up better. I'm not doing the measurements. It is right here. I'm just going close to what those measurements are. You'll see why, because we've done this on the fold. So this is close to what the measurements are, but this is not the measurements. Now I'm going to go in a second time with the measurements, flipping this around. Oopsies, my rotary cutter's getting dull. Because we want to cut off, we want to make it nice and even so we don't have it on the fold here because we're cutting 2 pieces. So now I'm going to go in with the actual measurements and try to hide what they are. So definitely look at your pattern piece for that. Okay, make sure I've got that right. And I do. Oops, I shifted. This is not a very big bag at all. Holy, it's super small. Does that seem right? I guess so. That just seems super small to me. But I guess we will have the tops on these as well. So, okay, so those are my lining bottom pieces. Making sure I have it right. And I do. Okay, so again, I will be backing these. I won't be doing interfacing with you here. You interface as per your pattern pieces. So this is our lining bottom pieces. These are the ones that will be, let me show you, it'll make it bigger. So this piece here is going to be the lining top. So it shows you how little this bag is. So it's going to be, I'm going to have like this little itty bitty zipper pocket in here. Where did that zipper pocket piece go? But I think it'll still work. I'll just put it right there. It's going to be super itty bitty. But that's all right. Okay. So we can put those aside. Again, any cotton pieces, make sure you back them with whatever interfacings you're choosing. Those will go in the to be interfaced pile. Cross that off. Exterior. Oh wait, okay. Bottom side panels. Okay. So we need to cut 2 of these, and I'm trying to get this piece to go as far as it will go. Makes me a little nervous because I'm not drawing it out because I never draw it out on my fabric. So cut 2. So this piece we need to do 2 at the full size and then 2 at the dotted line. So I'm going to just put this down. Again, folding it upon itself because I'm going to cut 2 at the same time. Cut it out. Yeah, I need to change that blade for sure. My blade is a doll. I'll change it out next project. We'll just make do with this one. We got it. I'm just going to have to go in with my scissors to cut the rest of the way. Where did those little scissors go? That's one. That's 2, and then we want to go back in and cut 2 for the side pockets at the dotted line. So we are going to fold down that dotted line and then cut 2 more. wonder if I can go like this. Will this work? Sure won't. So we will fold it in this way. Again, cutting 2 at a time. Ooh, my hands are icy cold. They do not want to work. Basement studio is cold today. Okay, so we'll cut 2 of these out. And watch your fingers if you're using a rotary cutter. Okay, so that's all we need for that pattern piece. Keep them all together, and I will interface those. Mark them off. So I got my pattern piece E, 2 at the dotted line, done. My pattern piece E lining, so that's done. That's done, that's done, that's done. Side panel, lining panel G, cut 2. So that's this baby here. So we will go in and do that. Again, cutting 2 pieces, folding in on itself, not cutting on the fold, just making 2 layers so we can cut them both at the same time. A bit more. Oh, and I just love when I can use up scrap. My scrap bin is huge and I don't have time to make another quilt with it just yet. There we go. Okay. So I would say this one, besides interfacing, takes about an hour or so to cut out. If you're fussy cutting, probably faster if you're not. Definitely faster if you have a sharp rotary cutter blade. Did not too bad on the vinyl, but look at all these corners and curves we're going to be working with. I'm excited. Those are our 2 pattern piece G parts that will have to be interfaced as well. Pattern piece G. Where are we? Pattern piece G. Okay, so now that I see how small this lining panel is, I'm actually not going to do a slip pocket in mine, but I am going to do the zipper pocket. So I'm going to cut my 2 zipper pocket pieces. The pattern doesn't have a zipper pocket. I think it has a slip pocket that you turn through the bottom, and it's optional. You know what? I'm going to cut the slip pocket too. We're going to do it. So I'm going to cut the interior pocket. I'm going to do mine about 7 by 8 inches, but I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to go, I might have to trim it up later. 7, I'm going to go 7.5 by 5. Again, this is for me for how I do my pockets. This will be cut into 2 pieces as well. And then I'm just going to take at that curve, I'm just going to take that 1/4 of an inch off the bottom. These are not measurements that are in the pattern. This is just Brandy measurements. So if you want to do the linings like she has there, definitely follow her pattern. But we definitely need a pocket to turn. Well, this is a birth bag, so we will be turning it through the bottom in the lining and then closing it up through a pocket, either a slip pocket or a zipper pocket. I believe, trying to look, she has a slip pocket in hers. I believe that it's not a zipper pocket. I really should read through the pattern first, I guess. Linings, I always just kind of do my own thing, so. But you do close the bottom of the lining up through whatever pocket is, an opening in the bottom of whatever pocket is on the inside of the bag. So there's that one. And I don't know if I'm going to do a slip pocket yet, but I will cut it just in case. It'll be an itty bitty slip pocket, that's for sure. So I'm going to go 7-ish. I got it on the fold here, and it will be 1 piece. might even be too big. I'm going to go 7 by 8, and I'll have to play with it later to make it fit, because it's going to be a super, like you can already tell how tiny the slip pocket is going to be, because it's going to be like that big only, but you could still put like sunglasses or what have you in there maybe. I don't know. Lipsticks, whatever. It would hold some stuff, so I will probably do it. Let's make sure I have everything. Oh, I need my base. We need our base. Look at that. I'm using up all of this. So, as that was a measured piece, I'm not going to measure it, but I am going to just take my exterior base piece and use it as my template to cut around. Like so. Oh my gosh, rotary cutter. It did so well with those vinyls, but I guess that just ended the life of that blade. Really got to learn to change my blade before each project. When I go to change this, I'll be like, why didn't I change it sooner? Okay. So, is that it? That all? That's it. That's all. Okay, let me flip this back up. So that's all it was. I am guessing this was about an hour to cut up. I don't know how big this last section was for video, but an hour-ish. You can choose what kind of main stabilizer you want for this. You can use Decavil Lite if you wanted. You could use, I'm going to be using foam because foam is always my chosen stabilizer. You attach those as you go on in the pattern, so you do not cut them just yet. You will cut them later on. So go and think about which stabilizer you're going to want to use, whether it's Decavil Heavy, EB Fuse Heavy, Bouncy Firm, or foam like I'm going to be using. I do really hope you guys like this cutting video. Again, this is only my third cutting video. This is a new thing I have started this year. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and make sure you have that notification bell clicked. So whenever I post a new video, you get notified of that. If you would like to support my channel further, you can always buy me a coffee. That's linked down below in the description. Again, this is one that we have done for our April 2023 sew-along classes on Tuesdays. No, on Thursdays. We're doing this one on Thursdays. So this is part of the Thursday sew-along tier. If you want to check out that, you can definitely do that. That is linked down below on how to join there if you want to join into the classes or watch the replays. Yeah, and besides that, that's it. That's all. So until we get to the tutorial, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.